So it looks like you're ready to really dive into improving those English listening skills.
Yeah,
And you've brought us some super interesting stuff to work with today.
absolutely.
This excerpt titled, The Power of Listening.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's something a lot of English learners struggle with.
Oh, for sure.
At a certain point, you hit that wall and you're like, I have no idea what they're saying.
Right.
So let's take a deep dive into the power of listening today
Love it.
and see what kind of practical takeaways we can find to apply to our own learning.
Right.
So the excerpt kicks off by really emphasizing how important it is to choose listening material that matches your current English level.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that's so important?
Well, imagine if you jumped in the ocean and you couldn't swim.
Oh, wow.
Right. You'd probably panic. You'd feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It's the same with listening to English.
I
If
know.
you're a beginner and you try to understand like a complex podcast or a movie with tons of slang, you're going to get lost.
Yeah.
You're going to feel discouraged.
Totally. And they have a great analogy in the excerpt, too. It's like trying to watch a movie
Oh, yeah.
with characters who talk super fast
Right.
and use all kinds of slang.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be totally lost.
Absolutely. And just like you wouldn't expect to swim across the ocean on your first try. You
Right.
shouldn't expect to understand everything in English right away.
Yeah. I love that.
Take it slow.
Yeah, they have a great example of a student who used children's audiobooks,
Oh, nice.
like The Very Hungry Caterpillar,
Yeah.
to like build a foundation.
I love it.
And, it might seem too simple,
Mm-hmm.
but that clear basic language,
Yeah.
the slow pace,
Uh-huh.
and all that repetition really does build those skills.
It does. And, a lot of learners, they want to jump right into the cool stuff, but
Well,
that can backfire.
Totally.
But resources like graded readers,
Yeah.
beginner-friendly podcasts
Right.
like ESL Pod or BBC Learning English,
Yeah.
those are fantastic.
Yeah.
For building that solid base, it's like building blocks
Yeah.
for listening comprehension.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And it's totally fine
Oh, yeah.
to pause and rewind
Geez.
as much as you need.
Yes.
Like, no one's judging you for taking it slow.
Of course not. The goal is to understand,
Yeah.
not just to let the words like wash over you.
Right.
Take your time,
Yeah.
break it down,
Mhm.
really
Yeah.
focus on what it means.
So the next point the excerpt really digs into is subtitles.
Interesting.
And I've always had mixed feelings about subtitles.
Yeah,
When I'm watching something in English,
I get it.
sometimes I feel like they're helpful,
Sure.
but sometimes I feel like I rely on them too much.
Yeah. They can be a great tool when they're
Yeah.
used strategically,
Right.
but they can also become a crutch
Yeah.
if you rely on them too much.
So how can you use subtitles strategically?
Well, the excerpt suggests a really cool approach.
Okay.
Start with subtitles
Yeah.
in your native language to help you connect the words with their meanings in English. Then as you get more comfortable,
Right.
switch to English subtitles.
Okay.
And then eventually you can challenge yourself
Right.
to watch with no subtitles.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's like training wheels for your ears.
Exactly.
And they use the example of a student who did this with the sitcom Friends.
Oh, cool.
And eventually she could watch it with no subtitles.
Awesome.
And what's interesting about this approach is that it allows you to slowly wean yourself off
Yeah.
of those visual cues
Okay.
and train your ear
Absolutely.
to really pick up the nuances
For sure.
of spoken English.
And choosing content with clear dialogue like Friends
Mhm.
or even something like The Crown,
Yeah.
which has really precise pronunciation,
Right.
can make this process so much easier. The clearer the dialogue,
Yeah.
the easier it is to connect
Right.
what you're seeing and hearing.
Totally.
Okay, so let's talk about making listening a daily habit because it's so important.
Absolutely.
If you think about any skill you've ever developed,
Yeah.
like playing an instrument or cooking, or even like learning a new sport,
Mm-hmm.
consistent practice is what leads to real progress.
Totally. And it's funny you should mention that.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I was learning Spanish,
Mhm.
I started listening to this 10-minute Spanish podcast
Cool.
every morning
Yeah.
while I was getting ready for the day.
Nice.
It wasn't like a huge time commitment,
Right.
but the consistency really made a difference.
So what did you notice after a while?
Honestly, it was kind of amazing.
Yeah.
After a few weeks, I was picking up words and phrases
Uh-huh.
effortlessly without even really trying.
Wow.
It wasn't like studying. It was just part of my routine.
See, that's the beauty of that consistent exposure.
Yeah.
You're basically immersing yourself in this like mini language environment every day.
Right.
Even if it's just for a short time.
And the excerpt really emphasizes that. Finding those little pockets of time in your day, your commute, cooking dinner, exercising, and just filling them with English listening.
Totally.
It doesn't have to be this big formal study session.
Absolutely not. And I think it's really important to mix up what you're listening to.
Right.
Don't just stick to podcasts, explore different genres of music, try watching movies or TV shows, listen to audiobooks. The more variety you have, the better your ear will become.
That's so important.
At picking up different accents, speaking styles, vocabulary.
Variety is key.
Totally.
Keeps things interesting and prevents boredom.
Right.
Which is a big obstacle.
Which it is.
When you're trying to build a new habit.
So the next point the excerpt talks about is active listening.
Okay.
And it's not enough to just hear the words.
Right.
You have to actually engage with what you're listening to.
I see.
There's a huge difference between passive listening, like having the podcast on in the background while you do something else, versus active listening, where you're present and focused on understanding.
Right. It's like the difference between glancing at a textbook and really studying it carefully.
Exactly. And the excerpt gives us some really practical techniques for active listening.
Like what?
Like pausing and repeating new words or phrases, trying to mimic the speaker's pronunciation.
Got it.
And even something called shadowing.
Shadowing.
Yeah, have you heard of that?
I've heard of it, but I'm not really sure what it is.
Okay, so basically shadowing is you repeat what the speaker is saying almost simultaneously.
Wow.
Trying to match their pace and intonation.
Oh, well.
It's like you're their shadow.
Right.
Echoing their words.
I like that.
Yeah, it's super effective for pronunciation, rhythm, fluency.
So it really helps you tune in to all the nuances of spoken English.
And they tell a story about a student who used Adele's songs to practice pronunciation.
Wow.
She would pause the song, write down the lyrics, and then sing along.
Nice.
Trying to match Adele's every inflection.
I love that.
Yeah, it's so creative.
Using music to practice pronunciation.
It is, and it's fun.
Yeah.
It's engaging.
Exactly.
It makes it enjoyable.
So to recap, active listening is all about taking those extra steps.
Yeah.
Writing down new words, using them in sentences, repeating phrases, shadowing.
Absolutely.
Even using music as a pronunciation tool.
For sure.
All of these techniques can really help you solidify your understanding.
They do.
And make those words and sounds stick.
Yeah. And remember, consistency is key.
Absolutely.
Even if it's just 10 or 15 minutes a day, it'll make a difference over time.
So now that we've covered all these strategies,
it's
time to think about how to personalize them.
Okay.
For your own learning journey.
I like it.
We talked about choosing the right material, using subtitles strategically, making listening a daily habit, and engaging actively with what you hear.
Yeah.
Which of these strategies resonates most with you right now?
Yeah.
I think sometimes the hardest part is actually putting all this into practice.
Right.
It's like, having a gym membership. It doesn't really do any good if you never go.
Yeah. The excerpt ends with a really nice call to action.
Oh, cool.
It challenges us to actually apply all this, not just learn about it.
Right. What do they suggest?
So they say just pick a podcast or a TV show or even a song and listen to it for 10 minutes today.
Okay.
And while you're listening, try to identify one new word or phrase.
Right.
And then see if you can use it in a sentence.
I love that.
It's a small step.
Yeah.
But it's a step in the right direction.
And what I really like about that challenge is that it emphasizes having fun.
Oh, absolutely.
Learning English shouldn't feel like a chore.
No, it should be an adventure.
It should be fun. When you find content that you enjoy, it makes all the difference.
Right. It doesn't feel like work then.
Exactly.
It feels like fun.
So as you're kind of starting out on this listening journey, think about what you enjoy.
Right.
What brings you joy.
Exactly. Do you like to laugh?
Yeah.
Find podcasts that make you chuckle.
Right. If music moves you, explore different genres.
Absolutely.
Find some new artists.
And don't be afraid to experiment.
Right. Try different things.
Yeah. Different genres, different accents, different styles of speaking.
You might be surprised at what clicks.
You never know what you'll discover.
And the best part is that feeling when you finally understand something.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, aha. I got that.
It's so rewarding.
It is.
When you start to understand more than you thought you could.
Yeah, it's like you're unlocking a secret code.
Exactly. And that moment when it clicks, when you understand the meaning,
it's so worth it.
It is. It opens up a whole new world.
Right. Communication connection.
Absolutely. So as we're wrapping up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one last question from the excerpt.
Get me to it.
What one thing will you commit to doing today to make listening a more active part of your English learning?
So it doesn't have to be a huge commitment?
No, not at all. Maybe it's listening to a quick podcast on your commute. Or trying out that shadowing technique with your favorite song.
Right.
Or watching one episode of a show with English subtitles.
Those are all really great ideas.
The key is to take action and keep moving forward.
We're so excited for you.
We are.
To continue this journey. And we can't wait to hear all about your progress.
Let us know what you discover.
And your favorite listening discoveries.
Yeah. The world of English is huge.
It is.
And it's full of so much cool stuff.
So keep listening.
Keep practicing.
Keep exploring.
And most importantly,
have fun.
Enjoy the journey.